Okay, so there's a major cannabis psyop going on, and it's to do with it's actually to do with the 322 people and the Mossad who fake all these things because um, okay, California Bill on Peter Hitchens' blog, I am 99.9% certain it's him. He posts under these pseudonyms just a load of propaganda to try and support his point of view because he can't find enough people to support his point of view. So he tries to make it look like there's lots of people that support him by posting. I mean, I've seen him post so many times. It wasn't just me. It's Will Self. Remember Will Self? He was on Question Time years ago, and he actually said on Question Time when Peter Hitchens was on with him that he reads his blog and sometimes posts on his blog, and he's pretty sure that Peter Hitchens posts, supporting himself under these pseudonyms. California Bill, because of course in California the weed is free. I don't know if it's free, but it's legal. I think it's legal. So he's playing the part here of someone from California who is not happy about it. Anyway, this is saying here the Columbine High School massacre occurred on Marijuana Day and it was a result of drug abuse. No, it was a fake and staged event. But this is what's going on. That in all these fake and staged events, they're writing into the script that the shooter or the killer was on cannabis. There's a massive psyop against cannabis, and it's all really deceptive. And is it anything to do with possibly um, the heartless hypocrisy of the British government on medicinal cannabis? Perhaps something to do with the fact that Tory friends and family are all involved in massive, massive exports of very, very strong recreational cannabis, which is called medical cannabis in Canada, to the Canadian market. And they've all got above the law 007 license to grow. We can't. No one else can grow this stuff without getting in trouble. But they've got these above the law licenses. Is Hitchens shilling for them? He's obsessed with cannabis and he's got it all wrong. He's got it all wrong because, if you're going to say any drug's going to make you violent, why isn't he going after cocaine? Cocaine it doesn't make everyone violent, but it's going to make an alcohol. Both of those two are going to make you violent, or some people violent, but not cannabis. And why is it what this horrid drug strikes again? They are trying, the 322 people and the Mossad and the evil Peter Hitchens are trying their very best to link cannabis to violence and terrorism. And it's not true, and the truth is important. These events are all fake and staged. Now he's always pitching this website here. See the website Attacker Smoked Cannabis, compiled by the excellent Ross Granger. Honestly, this website is just garbage. It's just the most ridiculous propaganda. This is it here. I mean, every time I look at this website with a horrible donate PayPal button on for trying to deceive people, every time I look at this, it's full of complete lies. If you click on these articles, it's got nothing to do with cannabis. There's real tenuous links, and it will say things like the attacker admitted to smoking cannabis, but also, large amounts of cocaine, and on the day of the murder he was drunk on vodka. But Hitchens will still blame the cannabis, and he won't even mention the fact that they were all on cocaine or pissed on vodka. This guy here, he died at the age of 32 from a heart attack. So they've managed to find a big picture of him with a spliff, and then put this smoking weed raises the risk of an irregular heartbeat. This is not. This is the most this is not the reason he died. He didn't die because of the cannabis. Okay, so we look at, for example, let's look at this one here. This is one he's linked to. So you read through here. Cannabis turned my lovely boyfriend into a violent monster. You read through here, you discover that the attack came out of nowhere. He had been smoking weed a lot recently, and it was getting ridiculous. It was every single day, really. God, the That's going to be the reason then. I've opened my eyes now, but was so blind to him and his controlling ways, and I didn't think anything of it. Yeah, so it was nothing to do with that, nothing to do with cannabis. It was to do with his personality traits and his controlling ways. See, one of the things that's happening when someone is found guilty of a crime, like a violent crime, if it's an anti-cannabis judge, because the judges are in on this psyop, the Freemason judges are in on this psyop. They'll advise the person who's been found guilty that if they admit that they're a cannabis user, the judge may look on that quite favourably because it's he can use it in his summing up of the case, as a sort of anti-cannabis sort of polemic propaganda. So the reason it was getting ridiculous, it was everything. So when he didn't have it, he was really horrible and would shake and speak to me like rubbish. But as soon as he had it, he was really nice. Okay, and so Hitchens links to this article here. Cannabis addict obsessed with serial killers who stabbed 2 elderly women. Read through this article here, and the one he's linked to, and there's no mention of anything, but the fact he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia, but he also happened to smoke cannabis, although he committed this crime 90 minutes after coming out on bail. So I mean, I don't think he's just got out on bail. You're not going to be getting that stoned. I wouldn't have thought that quick, but I mean, depending how far he had to travel. Anyway, and then go out and do the murders. That's the story anyway. So when you look at this a little bit deeper, you discover that the court heard he used cocaine and cannabis. Oh, cocaine, yeah. The cocaine that does actually make you violent, cannabis that doesn't make you violent. So Hitchens links to an article, doesn't mention his cocaine use, but only mentions his cannabis use. Yeah, and which you can clearly see is, a psyop, polemic. I mean, the title of it is cannabis addict obsessed with serial killings who stabbed 2 elderly women. No, also, cocaine addict. You forgot that bit. This is always the case. Every time I look at this website, whatever article I look at, it's always deceitful, always a lie, or always based on a fake news event. I mean, just have a look at what comes up top when you type in attacker smoke cannabis, and you'll see that it's talking about all the fake attacks, because they write this into the script on all of them. What are they so scared of? Why are they so scared of cannabis? Why are the evil ones, the 3-2 people, the mossad? Is it because they think people on cannabis can actually see through this bullshit? Is that something to do with it? Doors of perception have been opened and they're scared. It terrifies them. So they've got to write, and what is Peter Hitchens up to? Why is he pushing lies? I mean, he has convinced himself of this bullshit. He's been fighting cannabis ever since he decided he wasn't going to smoke it at college and everyone else was. He was going to be self-righteous about it. He's determined, no matter what, even if it means faking and staging terrorist attack after terrorist attack, he's determined that he's going to be proven right, even though he must know he's wrong, and he's been wrong for the best part of his entire life. It's not a drug that makes you violent. Attacker smoke cannabis. And the fact that a lot of mentally ill people smoke cannabis is probably because it helps them. It eases their troubled mind. Words of warning: attacker smoke cannabis. Right, let's have a look at what'll come up first here, usually. Terrorism. Karen Butt, the partygoer who turned into a killer as a teenager. Karen Butt, the ringleader of the London Bridge terror attack, was a cannabis-smoking wannabe badman. Yeah, it was a fake staged event. He's a patsy. They've stitched up a patsy who smoked cannabis, probably because he smokes cannabis. That's what they're doing, because they're scared stiff of it for some reason. Possibly a lot of corruption. But let's have a quick look at this absolute garbage book that he's pushing. Obviously, we don't want to look at because these 5 stars will just be from his mates. Uneducated tribe and moralistic posturing. That sounds like Peter Hitchens, because possibly Peter Hitchens is the person who wrote this garbage, who's compiled it, or it's someone very close to it. He never plugs any other website apart from this, and it's the most deceptive piece of rubbish. I mean, a book based on reports from the tabloid press. Yeah, a book based on fake news. No valid scientific research to back it up. It's a blatant scaremongering and moral posturing written by a wannabe Mail on Sunday journalist and mini-me. I would steer clear of this book and stick to peer-reviewed research. The vast majority of the British public no longer believe these lies peddled by Harry Aslinger and Reefer Madness that this book is attempting to emulate. Very poor. I would have given it 0 stars, but it wouldn't let me. Absolute garbage. I mean, I'll give you some more examples. Okay, so here's what we know. The evil ones and the opposition, and we know they are writing into the script of fake stage terrorist. They're faking terrorist events to try and push the narrative that cannabis is dangerous and evil. This is the reality here. This mother that was denied medical cannabis for her daughter, or son, who's is provably better, provably cured on it, or almost cured on it, by the cannabis. And yet the same people who are denying her the medicine are the biggest exporters to the Canadian market in the world, and they're it's Tory friends and family. It's the relatives of those who are actually responsible for making and preserving and upholding the law on this. As there
is this rather bizarre situation where the drugs minister in the Conservative government, Victoria Atkins, has recused herself from policy decisions relating to cannabis because her husband, Paul Kenwood, operates Britain's largest cannabis farm. Is that really credible?
Well, I don't know anything more than that, but I mean, there are legitimate uses. For example, hemp is used in building material. You can build buildings using.
No, but it's about her being. Should she really be given that sort of brief when she can't actually talk about it?
Well, I thought the whole point is she didn't have the brief. That's what I understood.
No, she hasn't.
Look at this bloke. This bloke shilling for the government. It's not hemp. It's very, very, very strong weed. Very strong cannabis. For the Canadian market. Okay, now let's just have a look at one of the reasons might have something to do with it. There is possibly good reason to believe that when people with epilepsy in the Gospels, when Jesus just anointed their forehead, the effect of the cannabis does penetrate into the skin, and it could have been what healed people from epilepsy in the gospel accounts, because there is good reason to believe that it is actually referred to. Pastor Andrew, a man named Pastor Andrew, does a pretty compelling and even entertaining job at explaining everything and why he associates true holy anointing oil with the Exodus effect and the long lost ingredient to be used for the true anointing oil. Yeah, okay, so he's saying here that there is an error in the Bible that has kept CBD from people for over 2,000 years. That error could change the entire meaning of the Bible because of a single mistranslated word, while possibly even extending the quality of your life with more healthy and vibrant years. Here's the error. When translating the Bible from Hebrew to Greek, scholars mistranslated the word cannabossum, eventually fusing into one word, cannabis. In the modern Bible, this word is translated as sweet calamus, which is a yellow desert flower with no medicinal properties. According to the authors of Exodus Effect, however, the cannabosum is another word for cannabis, as this ingredient's identity has been buried deep within the book of Exodus and hidden in plain sight. Because that word has been mistranslated, it changes the meaning of several sections of the Bible. The Bible mentions cannabosum multiple times in one section. God complained, "You have not brought any cannabis for me, or lavished me the fat of your sacrifices." Because cannabis would have been as precious to them, and it certainly was in use during this time period, and possibly by the prophets, but it was certainly in use, and it would have been precious to them, just as the fat of your sacrifices would have been precious to them. It makes a lot more sense than you didn't sacrifice your yellow desert flower with no medicinal properties. Okay, I'm pretty sure that they're right, and it is actually a mistranslation that it's been mistranslated into sweet calamus, the yellow desert flower with no medicinal properties, when it's almost certainly going to be cannabis. And so that is possibly one reason why Peter Hitchens is, because he is, after all, working for the devil. Yeah, I hope you're watching this, Peter.